Hey, Connor. Well, so you were telling me about your love for the Canucks in Vancouver. Why are you coming back?
Well, that's pretty much it. Obviously, you
I didn't
know,
hear any of the it, by the way. We lost
it,
you. So you're gonna have to
it's
repeat yourself.
okay. Well, when the opportunity came to extend, obviously, for me it was a no brainer, and I was fortunate. It got done pretty quickly, but I've been there for a long time now. I have some great relationships with people on the team, on the staff, that I'm just fortunate to be able to work with them for many more years ahead.
And did you get the feeling? It seems to us that it means something to the team that the players now who want to stay, who badly want to remain Canucks, and we saw, of course, a little bit of a surprise with Brock coming back this morning. Do you get that sense that it meant something to them that you were so willing to do this deal and do it now because you wanted to stay?
I'm not sure if I got that sense. More or less, I just expressed my interest of, you know, I enjoy playing there. I believe in our management staff. I believe in our coaches, and I believe in the group we have, and I think we're going to continue to get better. Whether we add players or we have a great group of young guys coming up. So, I was very interested on being on a team in a big market where, we had that playoff run. You got the taste of what that's like in a big city, and it's an addicting feeling, winning a lot. And I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to win a cup, in a city like that. So that's what my goal is for the next 7 years.
Next up, we have Ben Kuzma, Post Media.
Hey, Connor, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a little bit more about Bess. I mean, what he means on the ice and in the room. How happy are you that he's returning? And what does it mean in terms of another guy that can kind of help carry the culture?
I'm very happy. I'm sure he's happy. He's done getting my phone calls. I probably called him, more than my wife the last week. But he's just the best guy. He's the ultimate teammate, a fantastic player. So I was very excited when I saw that news. I was away from my phone for about a half hour, but I had 5 texts from Mizey and 5 texts from him, so I knew it was good news. But he's just such a like you said, a culture guy. He's played there for so long. For him to be playing on the same team, his whole career, not many people do that. So what an opportunity! I'm very excited he's back.
Connor, goal scoring is going to be a talking point for this team. Offense was hard to come by last year, and given where the team is at now, cap wise, it might be difficult to add another piece. As a guy that has produced consistently as you have, where do you think the offense is going to come from for this team?
Well, it comes from us. I have to produce more. I have to make more plays. I have to be better as a player. That's I think why they sign me, is they understand I try to come back each and every year as a better player, and in a year or two I want to be better than I am right now as well. So I think we have a lot of guys in the room that want to get better and want to produce, and we're not too concerned about what people say. We got to win games, and we got to win games a certain way, but obviously we got to score more goals and make more plays, and that's a lot of our focus of the guys that are coming back. But it starts with us. I think it's just everybody plays better, everybody makes more plays. Bury your chances, then pucks are going to go in.
One new guy is Evander. What could he potentially do for your group if he plays an extended number of games?
I think he's a guy that no one really likes to play against. He kind of has that scare factor, which we kind of had in the past. With Zadorov, I think he's a similar type of player, where you got to play honest when he's on your team. So I think he's a huge impact for us. Can score. So obviously had some huge years in the league, and I just think he'll create a lot of space for guys up front. And I think he makes our group up front a lot tougher, just in the sense that he's there, and that it adds a lot of toughness to guys around us. That we have some tough guys and guys that stick up for their teammates, but he definitely helps in that sense.
We'll go to Chris Faber, Canucks.com.
Hey, Connor, congratulations on the contract and the World Championships as well, of course.
Thank you.
Just wanted to kind of get your opinion on the last 4 years and how you kind of look back at it as you kind of turn now to look forward. But just the past 4 years in Vancouver, what do you think you've learned most about yourself in the NHL?
Yeah, I think. I don't really want to go over all 4 years. I mean, I've had a great time there. We've had some good teams, had some ups and downs, obviously. I'm just trying to right now live in the present and just enjoy it, and focus on getting better for next season. But what have I learned? I probably learned most about consistency. I feel I got there as a 25-year-old. That was kind of just relying on producing and scoring, and when the pucks weren't going in or I wasn't making plays, I wasn't really helping our team out as much. So, I've always become a PKer. I think I'm a pretty responsible defensive forward. I was, on a shutdown line for a year, and I think I'm definitely a more versatile player than I was when I got there. I credit that a lot to the coaches and our management and the staff that we have there to help and work with me. But as a player, I just think I've grown in that sense.
And with the 3 extensions that we saw today, it looks like a lot of the similar group coming back. So I'm curious about the hunger from this group to kind of prove that last season wasn't what you guys want to show, I guess, on the ice.
Yeah, last year I think carries a lot of noise that isn't as warranted. I think we dealt with injuries right from the start of the season. We lost Brock, JT left us, Roney got hurt for an extended period of time. Huggy played through an injury most of the year. Demmer, we had a lot of top players hurt. Heedle, Petey at the end. I mean, we just couldn't get healthy. And then obviously we had a little bit of a distraction as a group, but we overcome a lot with adversity, but we're 4 points out with all those injuries. I think we're a pretty good hockey club. I think we got a really good coaching staff. I think, we're in a great place to play. We have some really good pieces coming back. And, I think the noise is a lot louder than what we feel in the room. So we're a confident group. We got to have a great summer. Guys got to get better and guys got to train and come in ready to play. And, we have a good training camp. I think we'll feel really good about ourselves.
Gemma Karsten Smith, Canadian Press.
Hey, Connor, congrats on the extension. I wanted to ask, with you guys signing new deals, yourself, Demko and Besser, it seems to show that you guys really want to be here. What is it about this particular group and the organization as a whole that's making you feel like this is the place to be and this is the place that you guys can succeed moving forward?
Yeah, I think, well, it's kind of two different things. Obviously, when someone like Jim Rutherford's, in charge of our, hockey with Patrick Alvin as well. Jim's won 3 cups. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. We have Footy. He's won 2 cups, a gold medal. They've won. They're not going about it wondering how to win. They've won. So that's a huge thing as a player. You want to be an organization like that, and that, you're viewed as a piece that can help the team win, and they're going to make the moves that you feel can get your team closer to winning. So, and then with our group, we're a really tight group. I mean, we went on a trip for my Easy Thousand game after the season ended, and just being on that trip with the group of guys that a lot of them are returning. It's just it's a really tight knit group that wants to win and enjoys being around each other each and every day. And we have a lot of fun on the road, and it's kind of how I talked about it with Brock is, he signed for 7 years. I mean, we're with that group for a long time. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and we're gonna try to win with that group, and that's something special to be on the same team and with the same guys for extended period of time. It's just we're really excited about sticking with each other for probably the next bit of our career.
Where'd you go on the trip?
Just to Seattle, just a little golf trip from Easy Thousand. It was really, really good time. Just a good group. I mean, we just spent a few days together, and I think then we all took off after that.
Thanks, Connor.
Thank you.
We'll go to Tom Galletti, NHL.com.
Connor, congratulations on a new contract. I wanted to ask you about Thatcher Demko, because we talked about the other signings. What does it mean to have him up for another additional 3 years, extension, just kind of stability within that? You guys already have some pretty strong goaltending, obviously.
Yeah, I think obviously probably we have the best goalie tandem in the league. Demmer's, as talented as any other goalie, and Lanks, as we all found out, is just unbelievable and kind of carried us through a majority of our season with how well he played. So we feel really confident about our goalies. And then I think for Demmer, just coming back, being healthy, and what a presence he is in the room, what a competitor he is. He has kind of a aura about him of, just being one of the top goalies in the league, and how hard he practices and what that does for our room on a day-to-day basis. Having a guy like that is, it's a huge impact. So, another big reason on why I came back was just how good our goalies are. And I believe in Demmer probably as much as anybody. So I'm really excited we got him back. It's a huge addition.
Thanks very much.
Joe Sadowski, City News.
Hey Connor, congrats again on the new contract. I just wanted to ask you about he's been a part of the organization for a little bit now, but stepping into a new role as head coach. How excited are you to play for him and sort of shift uh, the locker room culture from what it was last year with with Footy stepping in as a head coach?
Yeah, I think Footy's, listening to him, obviously, even just tell stories about how it was back in the day and how they played and the great players he played with. It was always enjoyable to listen to those. I'm a kind of a hockey nerd, and I loved always listening to him. But how he talks about the game from a defensive standpoint, and obviously now we've talked a lot recently just about offense and our rush game and things we'll look at in the offensive zone. But to me, he's one of the smartest minds on a defensive end and a PK and someone I regard highly how smart and how well he thinks the game. As a head coach, I don't know how he's going to be. He was awesome as an assistant coach, very demanding, but whenever you had something going on, he was a guy you could go to and talk to about. He's very personable, and I always appreciated that. So I'm excited as a head coach. Obviously come back. We still have some guys like the Sedins that were some of my favorite people to go, just go sit in their office and watch games with and talk hockey. With Jason Krog's coming back, and then, we made some additions on the assistant coach. I had Kevin Dean at World, so I'm very, very excited about our staff that we have.
And with the Abbotsford Canucks bringing home the Calder Cup, does that kind of ignite some more excitement for the future of this group moving forward?
Well, I think if they make the most out of it and come in and push for some jobs, I think for us, obviously we'll have to have some young guys come in and impact our roster. And as a young guy who was one of those guys that came in and try to steal a job from people, I'd love to see one of them come in and have a great camp and push the pace and make some difficult decisions, because that's how you win with competition throughout your organization. And there's some guys that are really pushing for a spot, and I hope they come have great summers and come back and compete for a job and make our roster and make an impact throughout the year. So that's you win with guys like that, and hopefully some of them can turn a championship year into something special.
Daniel Wagner, Glacier Media.
Connor, did you learn anything new about yourself and your game at the World Championships with that experience with that group?
I'm not sure. I think this year in Vancouver, I was kind of in a leadership role, from day one, and that was probably the first time. And then at Worlds, I wore a letter, and was part of the leadership group there as well. The captain, Clayton Keller, was the best man at my wedding. So to be able to kind of go through that with him, and just be with him throughout the tournament, is kind of like the older guys now. When we were 20 years old in Arizona is a little different, but as a player, I don't know. I played with on a line with Cooley and Kells, and I enjoyed that. Kind of being a guy who gets the net, gets the puck, retrieves it for them, and let their high end talent take over. No, I'm not sure I learned a whole lot. I learned what it takes to win. To win a tournament like that's real tough, and a lot goes right. How close our group was in the room. We did a lot of activities together, as uh, young that sounds, but we were out together a lot, playing cards, playing golf, and we were just a tight knit group. So there's some stuff I'd love to bring back that we did there that I thought brought success to our group. So yeah, there's some things I learned.
And how has your relationship with the city of Vancouver grown in your time here?
You mean, I don't know. It's kind of a strange question. The city, I always loved living in Vancouver. I lived in a different town, and every year I've been there. I lived in Kitts, lived in Gastown. I lived in Olympic Village. This year I lived right next to the rink. So I've moved around and I've enjoyed every spot. I like walking. I like walking on the beach or the, right near the water there. So there's for me, it's kind of like Boston of the West Coast. It's very similar. I love my hometown, so I really enjoy being out there. I also don't love visitors during the season, so it's far enough for all my friends and family where they don't come out. They come see me on the East Coast trip. So that was another big reason to stay out there.
We'll go to Adam Kurzenblatt, the Hockey News.
Hi Connor, first off, congratulations. Earlier this morning on Vancouver Radio, you talked about Keith Yandel and how when you were young and you were developing as a hockey player, he really helped you. Is that sort of what you want to become for this young Canucks group where, you know, you're a player that the prospects can reach out to if they need any assistance with just the everyday of being a hockey player?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I said that about him. I just said he skated in my summer skates when I was 14, and I always appreciated that. And he took time to talk to a lot of our guys. But on the other side, yeah, I had guys like that in Arizona for when I was a prospect who I could go to and talk to. You know, Brad Richardson, Derek Stepan, Goligoski, Phil Kessel. There were some guys that I really leaned on when I was going through the early years of my career and being a tweener in the AHL and the NHL, and then a young guy in the NHL. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like I try to be as open as I can. You know, some days are easier than others because, you know, you also have to perform yourself. So, you know, but, you know, as getting older, yeah, I'd love to be able to help young guys. I think I'm in a different situation than some where I made it through being in the AHL for 3 years. So, you know, some of the guys that are down there, yeah, I'd love to be able to help anyone that has any questions or wants to know what it takes to, you know, be a pro in the NHL for a long time as, you know, somebody that was drafted late and spent a couple of years in the minors. I think there's not a lot of us, but, you know, I'd love to be able to help guys that are in the same situation I was.
Shake them off.
Thanks for taking the time to come and sit down and chat with me today.
Generational talent. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing.